All right, and welcome everyone to Knox Makers. Anybody's first time here visiting Knox Makers? Well, great, welcome. Tuesday nights are our show and share nights. It's an opportunity for people to get up and show what they're working on, stuff they've completed, stuff they're stuck on, and stuff they failed at. We welcome all types of projects from everyone here, and it's really exciting to see what people are doing. We have some names on the list tonight, and so we might as well kick it off with Tracy, who is showing teeny tiny laser pieces.
This is less showing off the whole project and more talking about dealing with really, really small pieces on the laser that are going to fall through the honeycomb the minute you cut them. So this was the thing that oh, that's way too far in. The thing that I made, and it's the top to a box, but this piece, where's my little tweezers? This piece right here is only 1 millimeter wide. Like this bit is only 1 millimeter, so it was very difficult to get out of the laser when I cut it. So what I did was I cut it out, not on this, well, I cut this piece out, and then I took a piece of blue tape, and while it's still sitting in the laser, you can press the tape onto the piece, and sometimes it'll like lift out of the piece if you're very slow and careful, and that works for about half of them. So it's good to have another one ready to go so you can cut the whole thing out again and try again until you get all of the pieces out. And then what I did for this one was, well, I had to do it twice. So the first time what I did was I took all the pieces home, and as you can see, they're stained. So I put them all on my counter and I stained them and just set them to dry, but they stuck to everything and they tipped over, and it was really hard to like they stuck to the paintbrush, they stuck to my fingers, they stuck to my tweezers, they just stuck to everything, and it was difficult to get them. One of them I painted the wrong side because it was just a mess. So the second time when I redid it, I cut them out, I pulled them out one piece at a time, and then I put them back in the shape, the cutout, and I stained them in place. I taped the back so they wouldn't like fall through, but I stained them in place and then let them dry. And since it wasn't paint, it was stain, because paint, I feel like it would have glued it into the piece, but it didn't. So since it was stain, I was able to turn it over and sort of like poke the pieces out, and then get them out and then put them directly into the main design. So using tape, doing it 100 times, and little tiny projects bags, which now there's project bags in the laser room because I never have any with me. Those are my tips for doing really, really tiny laser cut pieces. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah?
When you were trying to poke them out, did you have any break in two? I'm thinking the vertical ones with the grain of the wood.
No, none of them did. I was a little worried. And this tweezers I have is very sharp, and I was worried because some of them I was like digging in. Like you can't see the back of this, so it doesn't matter. But I was digging in, so I used a different tweezers to sort of like gently press them out, but none of them broke. I was very worried about the arch thingy, but it seemed to work. That one was surprisingly robust. So, anyone else? Yeah?
Now, what is this for?
It's a top of a living hinge box. It's just the top with a design in it. It's a holiday gift for someone.
When you're designing something that small, do you have to account for the kerf?
No, when you're doing inlay on our laser, the kerf is about 0.1 millimeter if you get it really dialed in, focused well, and you don't have to like shrink pieces at all. You can just cut it out and place it in. You do have to be careful that you can't flip it over. Like this piece is maybe like you could turn it either which way, but it won't fit back in if you're putting it in upside down, because even though the laser focus is in the middle, if you look very closely, there's a teeny tiny little like angle on the cut pieces, especially with something so small. I have a baggie with the teeny tiny pieces in it if anyone wants to see them, but this is still actually drying. it's due soon, so I'm not gonna pass it around. Yeah?
Were you gonna do all the other shapes too? Okay.
No, that was meant to be engraved and just that one piece cut out, so that would have been a lot of work. Okay, thank you.
Up next, we have Sue, who's going to show some teeny tiny animals.
I thought we would just keep the theme going with teeny tiny, right? So those of you who have come regularly or seen us on the show and share online know that I do amigurumi of little animals. And I've done another batch of zoo animals. So I have a hippo. This is the one I like the best. I have a little penguin with his little feet. I actually found a goat that I was going to do for John. Okay, and I had shown a sloth before, but the pattern was so large I could only get the sloth head in the bauble. Well, I found a different pattern, so now we have a real sloth. We have an elephant. And last but not least is a lion. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to lately. Yeah, the little elephant's tail.
How big can you show them up,
Up where you can see them?
Yes.
I didn't bring it, but they're made to go in the mystery machine. All right. And so I like to keep my hands busy at night while I'm just sitting there watching TV, and this is what I do. So, yes, we'll have some more things for the mystery machine. I'm starting early for the next market. Anything? Yes?
How long does it take you to do them?
It could be anywhere from 3 to 4 nights, depending upon how long I have to work on it. But at nights, a couple hours, right? So I can typically do the head one night, the body the next, and then the appendages, the arms and feet or whatever, the following night, and get it put together. But some of them are more difficult. The penguin was more difficult because the pattern I found was not black and white. It was all one color. So I got to alter the pattern to come out with the black and white.
What are you using for eyes?
5 millimeter safety eyes. So they're pretty small, and thank you for woodworking because I was able to make a tool to help me with my get the back onto the front. Have you seen a safety eye? It's a post with a cup. Okay. Anything else? Oh, yes, Steve.
If you wanted some very small ones, take a piece of paper from the floor, burn the end of it, plug it in. You can make eyes that are 2 or 3.
I would think that would be very beady eyes, and to be honest, my eyes are kind of going, so this is as small of a character as I want to go. That's just quite small enough.
So it has some posts in the back of it. Those are like 25 millimeter ones. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you much.
All right, very cute. And yes, good reminder that we do have the mystery machine out on the table out there. That's our capsule machine that people can contribute whatever they make. As long as it fits into a capsule, you can put it there, and we have that at our events. And people come and get a fun thing made by a Knox Maker member for 50 cents. So that's always a hit at our events, our markets and whatnot. So coming up next, Rob is going to show my laser. Well, his laser, but here.
I'm going to start at the end. so that's, hold it up real quick so you can see. That's something, this was the first thing I cut out with any detail of my custom laser. So I decided, I was doing some playing with a laser. We have one here, but I wanted one of my own. That right that up, zoom in. And so I custom built and designed my own laser. And you can, the corners, everything is 3D printed. So the corners, I custom designed everything you see here except the extrusion here, which is, hello, don't go away on me. That's just aluminum extrusion. But everything else I custom designed. And there were multiple revisions as I was assembling it and it didn't fit. And if you look, there's different colors of plastic. The red was revision 1, the purple, the green was revision 2, and the purple on the left-hand side there was revision 3. It's how I could keep track of, you know, you have a box of parts and you're like, wait, I'm taking it apart and putting it back together again. It's how I could sort of figure out which was which. So that's it kind of put together, dry fit, everything's, there's the laser. It's a 10-watt blue diode laser. And so that's kind of dry fitted. It's 20, it's 500 millimeters by 500, which is about 20 inches by 20 inches. So it's a reasonable size laser. And then here it is doing a homing. So I was doing some testing of the electronics and making sure, so you can see I've got limit switches to run its homing, and it's homing itself to set itself up so it knows where 0 is. You can see I have my own little bed down there. And you can see carefully, if you look at the wires here, they're not hooked up yet. I hadn't even finished all the electronics by the time I got to that. Here you can see, oh, I'm practicing doing this. I had drawn this out in Inkscape and decided, let me run it to see that it actually moves and holds its positioning. That's what that was doing. And so here we go. This is it actually now running. It's doing the, let's see, it did the engraving already. You can see on the numbers there. It's done the engraving, and now it's doing the cut. This is all 1/4-inch birch, or 1/8-inch birch, and it cuts it. My 10-watt laser will cut it in a single pass. You can see there's the speed roughly for doing a cut. And then in here, I think you can see here, it's cutting out. So you can see I did all 3 pieces on one piece, all at one time. So it just went through and cut all the pieces. And you know, I basically picked it up, knocked the pieces out, and assembled the pieces. One of the biggest problems I ran into, that's actually hysterical. You can't see in the projector, the red, there's a red dot right here, that little weird looking thing. It's actually red on my screen. If I show you my phone, you'll see it's a red dot, but on the projector, you don't see the red. I was having trouble with alignment. The laser's under a protective cover here. Come on, guy, focus. This is a protective cover so that I have an enclosure so I can't look at the laser, but it comes with this protective cover, and I can't see exactly where 00 is. Where's that laser gonna go? So I put an offset red dot, that's not showing red here, point laser, and then I wrote a little macro that says, hey, set the red dot where I want it, and I run my little macro and it offsets the laser to exactly where I want it. I think, oh, and so one of the things I did do just this morning, I cut out these little pieces. Here's 1/4-inch oak, single pass. You can see this first one that I did here was out of focus, so it didn't come through. And I realized, oops, I didn't have it focused, so I refocused the laser. And you can see that's a single pass. I just needed these little offsets for my other CNC. This is my CNC that does circuit boards. And I wanted these little offsets because I've rebuilt this also this weekend so that I can now make circuit boards a lot easier. And I wanted these little offsets. And I could have 3D printed them, but to be honest, with the laser right behind me, it was much quicker and easier to just cut out these little pieces of wood. All the holes and everything were just drilled. You can kind of see it in this one. I pre-drilled all the holes. It just fell out and set it in, put the screws in, and away I went. So it works out real nice. So that's my laser. Any questions?
How long did it take you to build?
So yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I have probably in my laser, because I was having to do all the design and rebuild, I probably have 30 or 40 hours into it. But you know, and that was over probably a month or so. But you have to realize I'm going to post all of these up on printables, all the design and everything. So you would just be able to print your own and cut the extrusion and assemble the thing. So take you a lot less time. Yeah.
Approximate total
I think I was into about $300. The biggest expense was about $179 for the laser. So about $300 or so, and I had all the filament, so I didn't really price that into it. Somebody else had a question? Oh, okay.
How do you adjust the Z height?
So on the Z height, if I get this back up again, I think I have yeah. So the Z height here, you can see that's my focus knob. And the Z height, this carriage actually slides up and down. So I can turn this carriage and this whole piece will slide up and down. And you can see this, it says 45 millimeters. That's because that's the size of this laser. I designed this to be able to put a different laser on if I upgrade in the future. So the carriage itself is independent of this piece here that actually holds the laser. But yeah, that's the focus knob that moves this up and down. I think I have about 15 millimeters of travel to be able to find my focus on it. So well, I set this by hand, loosen these screws, move the laser up and down to get it about in the middle of where I want to be. And then from then on, I can just turn it only a few turns to get it to be exact focus. So, yeah.
Did you design the board, or did you buy like is it like an Arduino or?
The board, so the board in the back here is actually an SKR Pico. So it's a CNC control board. The problem is that it says it controls laser, but not really. So I had to custom design a board to actually talk to the laser. That's why you can see here the wires aren't hooked up because I hadn't built the board at that time. But yeah, I custom designed a board to talk to a laser. And again, I'll have a GitHub which has all of that for the board. So it's only got a few parts on it. Anything else? Okay, thanks.
Up next, our third project with the word laser in it. John Dell is going to show laser coasters.
This is kind of a promotion for the workshop we're doing after show and share tonight. So we'll break after show and share, and then we'll come back in here if you're interested in making coasters. So we're going to start with, let's zoom out here. Some blank coasters. We'll have these available from the laser store. They're always in there for $1 a piece. And so they make really nice, cheap gifts if you're interested. And so these are just the blank coasters that we start with. And then we start putting designs on them, for example, Christmas trees, or there's a different one, or like this one. So you just basically can raster images onto them. It takes a few seconds on Crossbow. It does it pretty quickly. And so what we're going to do after here, if you're interested in making them yourself, we have a few designs available where you can bring your own, or you can just find images on the internet, and then we'll help you design them and then cut them out on the laser. And you can make as many as we have time to make for $1 a piece. Does anybody have any questions on that?
What's the material?
The material is slates. They're slate coasters, yeah.
Show the backside so you can see, right?
Yeah, and they have little feet on them. So, yeah. Any other questions? All right.
Coming up next, we have a Mr. John McLean giving us an update on a teeny tiny Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah, a few more floors. Lucky enough, it's just one big block, right? So what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to position it for you so you kind of see the front a little bit better. So, but anyways, so as you all know, I've been diligently working on, there we are. I've been diligently working on Nakatomi Plaza here for about, I don't know, a month and a half now, give or take. And I decided, well, I was having issues with the AI part of things, and I decided to scale down things a little bit for the time being, and I figure just go for the solid model and just get all the lights installed and work from there. And so that's what I've done. As you can see, I programmed it to have a little bit of festive candy cane lights to it. And this is a really cool board. It's a Pixel Blaze board. You can program it via web interface, and it's really cool. I mean, you can download, publish designs, and everything. It's really cool. This evening, I was planning on having a little bit more floors printed out and more kind of a filament like this, but my 3D printer belts snapped on me this morning. So I had to come up with the time to actually repair the belts to actually get the floors printed out, and I got only a single floor printed out, and I'm going to be working on a floor this evening. I'm going to be doing the lights, and hopefully I'll have like a little demo floor up here later this evening if everything goes well enough, I guess. We'll see how I go. But the conclusion is that I'm going to focus on just the actual physical hardware of building the actual building and then scale out from there. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the goals for right now. So any questions? No? Great. Thanks. Don't touch it.
Yippee-ki-yay. All right. Coming up, last that I have on my list is another plush thing. It's Lori showing plush fun.
No lasers, I'm sorry. Hi there. So I did a couple different things, and both are gifts. First was my son, who's 20, asked for a Kermit the Frog puppet for his birthday. And I don't know if you know, it's hard to get a good Kermit the Frog puppet. If you get one on Amazon or something like that, they look nothing like Kermit that we know. And they specifically don't make Kermit the Frog puppets because they don't want videos made of Kermit doing bad things. So, inappropriate things, which this Kermit certainly will be doing inappropriate things. So what I did do is the way to get around it to make my little 20-year-old little boy happy is I bought a vintage plush stuffed animal off eBay for $22. I was so excited. This is from like the 80s or 93, I think, maybe. And then took all its clothes off. And then the hand was sewn together. All the little fingers, it was one piece that was sewn together. So I separated the fingers, and I had to sew each individual finger up and down. And then I also made a little slit in the side. And then I had to hollow him out. And it was, sorry, cover your eyes, inappropriate, any children here. And then I made a sleeve for the inside of it so that you could put the hand up. And I restuffed it. So, and then because my son has big hands, and also just because the inside, I had to take the eyes out. This was the hardest thing to do. I did, and they're the safety eyes, but these are like really, really powerful safety eyes, all made of plastic. And I tried using a Dremel, and I slipped a couple times, and poor Kermie's got some scars. He's a badass Kermie. And I ended up, I forgot who it was, but I came in and they suggested using a heat gun. And so I used a heat gun and clipped some of it away, and I finally got the eyes off, and then he looked really spooky. Now he is all ready to go. I put his eyes back on. I put the flush on, and then I used, this is soldering wire and a loop at the end. I need to actually make a second loop, make it another loop, and then dowel rod that I off-centered so that when you can put this in the little slot of his hands and he can move his little hands. So he is a Kermit the Frog stuffed animal, or a puppet now, and he's going to do some inappropriate things, I'm sure. So, and then the other thing I did from scratch is I'm doing a Secret Santa, and the person likes ducks, so I made a duck from scratch. So this is just a cool little duck. I used a pattern online, and then I adapted it because the pattern was really boring. The feet didn't have legs and things like that, so I just adapted it. And it was something fun to do, and I put a little bag in there of rice so it can stand down. So it was just something fun from scratch to do, and he's got a little mohawk because he's a cool duck. So, but anyway, thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
Did you have to buy new eyes for it?
No, I didn't. I actually ended up using the eyes that were on it. The one of the eyes got a little cracked on the inside, but they're covered with fabric. I just cut the backs off of them and used a super fabric adhesive. I could have used hot glue, but I just used the fabric adhesive and I stuck them right on. But I specifically took it out so that he could make all of those little funny faces like Kermit does. He's one of the puppets that they don't have a brace. And actually making puppets is something I want to start doing. So to be able to take one apart, and I actually took the pieces and I made a pattern out of the pieces when I turned it inside out. So I may make one from scratch. That would be really cool. So yeah, what's your question? Yeah?
So is there maybe someplace online we can see the pictures of Kermit?
When he does perform? Yeah, I'll have to check my son's Instagram. Probably. We'll see what happens. Yes. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lori. Anybody else have something to show that didn't get on the list? Yeah, Tracy.
Hi guys. I just wanted to show off this box that Theo was kind enough to help us make on Saturday. And I just basically brought it to prove to her that I was going to finish it. Because that's a terrible habit I have of starting things, not finishing them. But this was so inspiring because it's just a simple fabric covered box. But, you know, it's so fun to look into. It's better than I thought it would be, and I wouldn't have thought of it without her. So thank you for this craft so much.
Can you put it on the projector?
Yeah, I don't know that I wasn't sure it was gonna fit, but there it is. See, so can you see inside this this pattern? I just really loved it, and I loved it with the black. And it turned out, you know, I had a panic moment there when we were cutting out the pieces. I thought, oh wait, this isn't gonna work the way I wanted it to, but it doesn't really matter because I just like looking into it. You know, I mean, it could be a gift box, but it could also be just something you look into to, well, sorry, not really showing it well, but I have no spatial awareness apparently. But so it's almost like a mystery box when you look inside it. But basically, I just wanted to show it off and thank my friend for helping me learn how to make it. It still needs a button, but I'll get to it. I promise. And I would show you my stitches, but they're really awful. And I don't want to, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but they're not great. But I can make like a million more. So, any questions? Ask Thea. Thanks, guys.
Okay, anybody else have something to show? No? All right. The only announcements we have are as John Dale mentioned, the Coasters community craft thing will happen shortly after meeting in here. So if you want to take part in that, stick around. And then also next Tuesday, we will be having another cookout. So if you are going to be here around 6:30 or 6-ish, come hungry, and we'll have some hot dogs and hamburgers and partake in some food and community. So that will be happening next week here. Classes coming up, we have a few woodworking classes. We have the Woodworking 103 bandsaw authorization that's happening on this Thursday and Saturday, and that will be, there's some tickets available for that. Still, we have a new member onboarding coming up this Thursday at 7. If you are a prospective member or a trial member, you do need to attend, excuse me, a new member onboarding before you can become a full member. So there will have one this Thursday and also after the show and share next Tuesday if you cannot make this Thursday. And then we also still have tickets available for the Intro to Metalworking class that is happening on the 14th as well. So yeah, that's the classes coming up. We also have an event calendar on knoxmakers.org, so if you want to get tickets for those, head over there. Other than that, we're going to open up the workshop, and we got the Slate Coaster class happening here, so enjoy. Thanks for coming.